Lastly, speaking of oversight, they want Ken Cuccinelli to be they're talking about DHS head for this guy. They want him to be the customs immigration chief. He's acting now, of course, and as acting, you're not subject to any type of confirmation. Here is Ayanna Pressley questioning Cuccinelli. You'll remember Ken Cuccinelli worked for the governor, Bob, I can't remember his name, almost his conviction, McDonald, was overturned. But Bob McDonald was also very famous for, with Ken Cuccinelli, propagating the bill and the law that required a vaginal probe to provide a vaginal probe ultrasound if you were seeking to exercise your right to an abortion in Virginia. This guy's super creep, and also, I don't know, to do this job, I think you got to be a little bit sociopathic, at least if it involves taking desperately ill children who are on a medical deferred from deportation program in this country and sending them out of the country, some of whom to die.
Medical procedures are only for people who don't want them.
Well, the idea is that, look, if you're not American, you don't deserve to have any life-saving type of procedures or care.
Earlier today in your testimony, okay, yes or no, Mr. Cuccinelli, did anyone at the White House play a role in this decision?
This was an agency decision solely, and other than discussion within the Department of Homeland Security.
Did Stephen Miller play a role in this decision or not?
So I'm not going to get into specific commentary back and forth, but I made this decision. The only discussions had over the course of the
again, for the record.
Yes, this is for the record, and as you noted, I'm under oath, so I want to be completely truthful. And I can't do that if I can't be complete.
So yes or no?
I'm not going to just answer the way you want me to answer. I'm going to give you an honest and accurate
I'm asking you to answer yes or no. Was the president involved in this decision?
We cannot, as you well know, talk about content of discussions with the White House.
I'm sorry, but you just said that you made the decision.
Yes.
Okay, so was the president involved, yes or no? That should
I
be
made
simple.
this decision
Was Stephen
alone.
Miller?
Play the other clip too. I mean, he is. Clearly, he makes the decision. But if the president says make this decision in this way, and then you make the decision, that has some bearing as to whether who's responsible for it.
He's really a dick about it too.
He also, this guy, and the idea, I think, of Ken Cuccinelli feeling like he's being questioned by a woman, a black woman is questioning this way, I think is probably about as insulting to him as you can get.
He's got some Don Shooter energy.
Here he is. He also doesn't know if he's eligible to become the acting Homeland Security, even though that the Department of Justice has said he's not.
Mr. Cuccinelli, it has been widely reported that the Office of Legal Counsel at the DOJ determined that you were not eligible to serve as Acting Secretary of Homeland Security under Vacancies Reform Act and the Homeland Security Act. It has also been reported.
Pause it. Let me just make it clear. So he wants to be acting Homeland Security, and Trump wants him to be because he, as he proved in the last segment, he is willing to make decisions that Trump has told him to make, and also claim that Trump did not tell him to make those decisions. But there is statutes that govern who can function as an acting director of these agencies, and it has to be an internal person. And the idea is that, like, you can't purposely, and they've done a pretty good job of being able to sort of thread this needle, subvert the process where these positions are supposed to get some type of Senate confirmation. And so he's not eligible because there are people who are higher in the hierarchy who are pre-existing at the Department of Homeland Security. Now, Trump doesn't want those people because they're ostensibly not willing to do the horrible things he wants them to do. But here we go.
And Security Act. It has also been reported that the director of the Presidential Personnel Office at the White House has accepted this decision and briefed the president accordingly. Do you accept the decision of the DOJ and the Presidential Personnel Office that you are ineligible to serve as acting secretary?
I'm not privy to anything you just described, and so I cannot answer that question.
Well, it's public record, but it's just, could you give me your visceral response?
As you may know, my last government post was Virginia state government, and I am no expert. I know areas of the law very well, but I don't know them all. And one I don't know very well is federal employment law, including things like the Vacancies Act and so forth. And I have not studied it or looked at it.
Sure, but again, the Department of Justice and the Presidential Personnel Office have ruled that you are ineligible to serve as acting secretary. So if asked to serve contrary to the law, will you decline?
I would not do anything contrary to the law. If I understood something to be contrary to the law, I wouldn't do it.
All right.
So now apparently
How convenient, he doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand that now remember, the Office of Legal Counsel is the one that decided that a sitting president can't be indicted. Now it's never been tested in a court, but they get pretty well reported, and they hold quite a bit of sway within the context of the administration. Apparently, Trump is looking for some type of loophole in the Federal Vacancies Act. This is being reported by Huffington Post. And this is according, I think, to the New York Times. The White House is considering a loophole that would allow Trump to bypass the Vacancy Act and potentially pick Cuccinelli or somebody else for the job. Under this route, the White House would tap someone to be the Assistant Secretary of Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction office, which is vacant. Then elevate that person to be the Acting Secretary of Homeland Security as a way of getting somebody into the hierarchy. Now, who knows? Who knows if that'll work? We'll see. But there it is, Ken Cuccinelli. He's only aware of what he can do in state law based upon vaginal probes.